Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Untapped Healing, where we help you tap into your healing potential. In this channel, we dive deep on a whole bunch of ideas and concepts that have to do with you becoming your greatest version. If you're interested in becoming your greatest version, feel free to subscribe, join the tribe. In today's episode, we're going to be diving deep on how you got addicted. The amazing Dr. Neal Barnard that's brought healing into millions of people's lives, curing a whole bunch of different diseases that are thought to be uncurable. Dr. Neal Barnard dives deep on different topics, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about how you got addicted. He's going to be breaking down the whole entire psychology behind it and what you can do to become unaddicted, because you don't got to be addicted forever. Nothing has to have a hold on you. You control your destiny. Let's get right into it.
I imagine you might have thought we were going to talk about food and how we get hooked on bad food habits that we have difficulty breaking, but actually I thought we would start with something that's much more on everybody's mind, which is how to magnetize a baby. You start with a baby. The baby should be 9 to 12 weeks of age, and you sit face to face, 15 inches apart. You mix 1 teaspoon of sugar, 1 cup of water, and mix them together. Take the baby's pacifier, stick it in the sugar water, plunk it in the baby's mouth, and wait for 3.5 minutes. When the timer goes off, stop. The baby is magnetized, and you may walk out of the room. Come back in about 10 minutes later with lots of other people, and what you discover is the baby ignores everybody. The baby looks only at you, and gurgles and coos and throws you a seductive shoulder and is really looking at you quite adoringly. Now, what has gone on is that the baby's taste buds are set for the mild sweetness of breast milk. And you just applied sucrose, table sugar, to the baby's taste buds. And that triggers a nerve impulse that goes to the base of the brain, and opiate chemicals, cousins of heroin or morphine, are then released in the baby's brain. In turn, they trigger the release of another brain chemical called dopamine, and that is responsible for everything that feels good. And the baby was experiencing this while looking at you. And the baby now associates you with all things that are good. So this is obviously very practical for grandparents. It doesn't have to be your baby. You can magnetize anyone's baby. Hospitals have been trying this, actually. If you have a newborn, I'm talking about 1 day of life or second day of life, and you're going to draw a blood sample, the typical technique is you take a little lancet and stick the baby in the heel and you get a drop of blood out. If you dribble some water in the baby's mouth beforehand, the baby cries just as much as before. But if you put a little sugar into the water and dribble it into the baby's mouth and then stick them, you discover the baby cries much less. What's going on here is that you're triggering the release of opiates, which have a mild anesthetic effect in the baby's brain. And this has no effect, however, if mom was a heroin addict. And can you guess why? Because the baby has been bathing in opiates, of course, for 9 months, and so your little bit of opiate that's caused from the release of the sugar has no effect. Okay? So the point being that sugar is essentially a drug. Not necessarily a terribly bad one or a terribly strong one, but it has drug-like effects nonetheless, working through the opiate system in the brain. And when we are grown-up babies, this is the kind of sugar that we take advantage of, and we react in our own way. Well, does it matter? Well, a teaspoon of sugar has only about 15 calories. It's not really a big problem. The problem with sugar, though, is that it gets into everything. It's easy to have large amounts of it piling up. And if you have one of these 20-ounce sodas, that can pack 250 calories of sugar that you didn't need. Now, when I was a kid growing up in North Dakota, we would have sodas every 3 months or something like that at a picnic or a party or something. It wasn't everyday fare. And I remember when the cans came in, our sodas were 6-ounce bottles. When the cans came in, my mother would say, "I can't finish a whole can of soda. I wish I had something that I could use to seal it up and save it for the next day." Well, today, if you go into any store, the smallest bottle you will find is 20 ounces. This is from Coca-Cola's nutrition analysis. 68 grams of sugar and almost as much caffeine as a cup of coffee. So if the sugar weren't a drug effect enough, the caffeine adds to it, and a 12 or 14-year-old kid consuming this is effectively hooked. This is from the Coca-Cola website. That is a lie. Now, help me out here. Tell me if you spot an addicting food. If you see one, just go ahead and call out. Oh, okay, all right. Nobody called out for broccoli, I noticed. Okay. Cauliflower, anyone? Well, okay, all right. This is my friend, Narcan. This is an opiate blocking drug. A guy is shooting up heroin on the street, and he accidentally misjudges the amount. And he shoots up too much heroin, and he gets wobbly, and he passes out, and his friends know what's going on. He's going to die. So they drag him into the emergency room, and you find a vein, and you inject Narcan, naloxone. It's an opiate blocker. What it does is it stops heroin from being able to affect the brain. So he wakes up, and you've saved his life. Now, if you gave this very same drug to a chocolate addict, I don't mean a person who likes chocolate, I mean a person who binges and is really throwing it down, you discover the most amazing thing. They take a taste of chocolate, and they set it back down. They'll try it again, and they just set it down. It tastes like chocolate, it has the mouthfeel of chocolate, it smells like chocolate, but the appeal of it is largely gone. Now, by the way, this is not a treatment. If you wanted to do this, you'd have to actually have an IV hookup as you went to the 7-Eleven. But what it shows us is that the part that we are aware of is the taste. What is happening in reality is a brain effect in which opiate chemicals are released in response to that taste of chocolate, and that is why we are driven to it, especially at any time when you need a little anesthesia. If you're tired, if you're angry, if you're annoyed, if you're alone, we tend to turn to these foods, especially at that time. It's a drug effect.
So I hope you guys understand now how you got addicted. Yes, our past created our reality today, but in order to detach from the reality that we created for ourselves for today, is to start implementing new practices and realizing that we don't got to do it alone. Take a friend along. Do whatever you got to, but just understand that it's going to be a process to let go of what's already been established. So start that process today. Thanks for stopping by today, guys. Absolutely love you guys for sticking around for this long, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Comment in the comment section below if you learned anything new, and stay well.